in the High Middle Ages, as cathedrals of light were built for the Catholic God, another faith flourished in the shadows. They called themselves simply good Christians. They were ascetics, vegetarians, and pacifists. They believed in reincarnation and the total equality of men and women. They also believed that the God of the Catholic Church, the God of the Old Testament, was an impostor, an evil God, and that the material world he created was hell. The Church called them Cathars, and for the first and only time in history, the Pope launched a crusade not against Muslims in the East, but against Christians in Europe. Their faith was systematically erased. Today, we open the file on the lost heresy. This is Dark Files Unsealed. To understand the crime, we must understand the victim. The 12th century Languedoc in southern France was a different place. More wealthy, more cultured, and more independent than the north. It was here that Catharism took root. Their belief was a radical dualism. There were two gods. The good God, the God of the New Testament, created the spiritual world. But the evil God, the Rex Mundi, or king of this world, was the God of the Old Testament. It was this evil God who created the material world, the earth, the flesh, everything we can touch, as a prison for the angelic souls he had tricked and captured. For the Cathars, life on earth wasn't a gift, it was a punishment. We were angels trapped in tunics of flesh. The Catholic Church said, "Be fruitful and multiply." The Cathars said this was a trap, imprisoning another soul in a new body. Their leaders were not priests, but parfaits, or perfects, men and women who lived in absolute poverty. They rejected water baptism and the cross. Their only sacrament was the consolamentum, a spiritual blessing to free the soul from its prison of flesh at the moment of death. And they were popular. The nobility protected them. The common people saw them as purer than the corrupt Catholic priests of the day. And to Pope Innocent III in Rome, this was an existential threat. The Pope tried preaching, he tried debates. But Catharism kept spreading. In 1208, his papal legate, Pierre de Castelnau, was assassinated. It was the spark. Innocent III declared the Albigensian Crusade. He offered the lands of the Languedoc nobles to any northern knight who would fight, and the total remission of their sins. The first major target was the town of Béziers in 1209. The city was mixed, Cathars and Catholics. When the Crusaders asked the papal leader how to tell the heretics from the faithful, his alleged reply echoed through history. "Kill them all. God will know his own." The city was massacred. Men, women, and children. The terror swept the Languedoc. For 20 years, it was a war of unspeakable brutality. Castles were besieged, cities burned. The Cathar parfaits were the main target. When captured, they were burned alive in massive bonfires. This wasn't just a war, it was an extermination. It was the first Inquisition. They didn't just want to defeat the Cathars. They wanted to erase their existence. Their sacred texts were destroyed. Their faith was declared the work of the devil. By 1243, the war was over. The Languedoc was conquered. But one final pocket of resistance remained, the castle of Montségur. It wasn't a military castle, it was a sanctuary. Inside were about 100 soldiers and 400 civilians, including over 200 Cathar parfaits, the last leaders of the faith. For 10 months, they held out against a siege of 10,000 men. In the winter of 1244, the Crusaders managed to take an outer tower. The end was near. A 2-week truce was offered. And here, the mystery of Montségur deepens. During the truce, 4 Cathars escaped by rope down the near-vertical cliff face. They didn't carry gold or supplies. The legend says they carried the Cathar Treasure. What was this treasure? It certainly wasn't gold. The Cathars despised material wealth. The strongest theory is that it was their most precious possession. Their sacred texts, their gospels, their rituals, their faith. They saved the knowledge, even when they knew the bodies were lost. On March 16th, 1244, the truce ended. The Cathars refused to renounce their faith. All 220 parfaits and believers calmly marched out of the castle, down to a field below, and were burned alive in a single, massive pyre. The Cathar faith was effectively erased. File 24 is closed, but the story haunts us. The Inquisition spent the next 75 years hunting down the few survivors, erasing the last vestiges of their faith. Almost everything we know about the Cathars today comes from the records of the Inquisition that destroyed them. Their own texts, their treasure, are almost entirely gone. They were erased so completely that for centuries they were dismissed as a heretical footnote. But the dark file we've opened reveals a deeper truth. Catharism asked the hard questions. If God is good, why does evil exist? Their answer, that the world was made by an evil God, was too dangerous for the power structure of Rome. They weren't killed for being wrong. They were killed for being an alternative. The fire that consumed the Cathars at Montségur was meant to be an end. But by erasing their faith, the Church created a mystery. What was in those lost books? What alternative truth did they protect to their dying breath? A file of faith, sealed by force, whose secrets remain lost in the mists of time. The file is closed, but the ashes remain. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Dark Files Unsealed.